Alright guys, so I have some thoughts on Tekken 8 that I've compiled together. Now I'm going to leave matches playing on in the background for you guys to see, and I'm going to talk to you about my thoughts on Tekken 8. Now I haven't really done any reaction videos to a lot of the trailers that have come out because everybody's been doing them. So I kind of wanted to just see how the game was going to play out. I knew that there was going to be footage that was going up. I didn't know it was going to be this much footage, but I have been making notes since. So I'm just going to go down a couple of things while these matches play in the background, and just tell you what I think of Tekken 8 right now as a whole. So this is not going to be in order. These are just things that I wrote down that I wanted to talk about in video, and hopefully I'll make some more Tekken 8 footage in the future. I don't want to do just standard reaction videos because that's what everyone's doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy watching them, but you guys don't need to come here for my reaction as well, because I'm generally a quiet person when I'm watching and playing stuff. So we'll start at the top while you guys are watching this in the background. So first things first is the presentation of Tekken 8. I think the presentation is fantastic. Like, this is the best that Tekken's ever looked by a long shot. It's not even close. It looks even better now than when we originally saw the first gameplay trailer way back when. I think it was just after the State of Play we got another trailer. So just after the CG trailer. It's looking better and better. I mean, it's very colourful and very noisy, so it's a bit to get used to at first, but I had that same feeling with Street Fighter 6. When I first saw Street Fighter 6, I thought that there was just way too many colours and it was kind of all over the place, but I grew to enjoy it, and now it doesn't, now Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 4 look very, very plain in comparison, and that's the feeling that I'm getting with Tekken 8. When I first saw it, it was just particle effects everywhere. I did not know what the hell was going on, and I really didn't like it. Now I really like it, especially now they've cleaned it up. It's not as noisy as before. If you go back and look at some of the old trailers, it was a bit more noisy. The health bars are still very noisy. There's a lot of colours there and a lot of things going on. But again, it's just, this is like growing pains. It's a brand new game. There's going to be loads of things that are going to throw us off. But all in all, to me, it looks fantastic. So presentation-wise, just graphically, it's great. They're doing a great job. We'll move on to hit sounds now. So the sounds are something I wanted to bring up because I heard a couple of people saying that they didn't really like the way it sounds when people hit you. I actually really like it. It sounds very impactful. It almost sounds like gunshots. So it's just a small tidbit there because I saw some people criticizing it online. Not many. I think majority of people like the way it sounds. Even just there, like the actual sound of the heat engager hitting you and counter hits, it sounds great. I really like it. I think it just makes everything feel like it's like a death blow, and I think that's pretty cool. The music, from what I've heard in the stages, is pretty good. You can't hear it too much. I mean, this stage has decent music. I think it was the stage that Lars and Jin were fighting on, and also the stage that Jun is first revealed on, that looked really, really good. Those are the standouts. So the music doesn't sound like Tekken 7's, where Tekken 7 was very it was high octane, dubsteppy, like almost, I don't know what it was. Tekken 7 had a bit of an odd soundtrack. It was a bit all over the place. This sounds a bit more in line with what I'm used to hearing in Tekken, but again, we've only heard like 3 or 4. But of the 3 and 4 that we've heard, it's pretty good. Then we've got stages. Stages, have got no criticism of them. They're nice and big, which means you're not going to be at the wall all the time, because in Tekken 7 one of the criticisms was that the matches basically took place at the wall, which was pretty annoying, especially because combos will carry you so far and they'll do so much damage. Being at the wall just added to that, and it got a bit frustrating. So being able to fight in the center a bit more is a lot of fun, and just the general changes they've made to the stages where walls explode, and like the way walls explode when you fall down off a balcony. I think that's all pretty good. As you'll see there, that's a new animation. So yeah, that's pretty good. Got no criticism of the stages. The Jun stage looks beautiful. I'm really looking forward to being on there. It reminds me of the Tekken 4 stage. I think it was called like Mystical Forest or Mystical Lake or something like that. So that's really good. The character models have been redone, and you can see that when you look at them. It does look brand new. It does look fresh. When they said they were doing everything from the ground up, I was a little bit worried because I was like, Tekken's one of those legacy games. Are we going to recognize it? But happy to say that it looks fantastic. This is the best that all of these characters have looked by a long shot. The general damage on moves, to me, seems good. Just like people connecting moves here and there, like pokes and whatnot. combo damage looks pretty good to me as well. Like, the combo damage doesn't seem outrageous on most things. That doesn't account for everything. When heat comes into it, heat is where it starts to get a bit messy, and I think that the damage is a bit too high. So where combo damage and normals to me are pretty good, when people go into heat is where I have a problem with it. And right now I think the damage is a bit too high. I think that they need to lower that. I think it's just, for some of them it's absolutely absurd, but I'm not too worried about it because, again, this is alpha. This could even be pre-alpha. I don't know what point this is, but we're still a long way away, and we saw Tekken 7 go through several stages in terms of them buffing and nerfing damage. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just obviously seeing it firsthand. I saw Xiao Yu connect a combo and it did like 70% health. I saw the main man talking about a string that Kazuya can do at the wall that does 80% health. So I'm guessing that the game's very, very far away from being completed. But heat engages, for what they do and how oppressive they are, because when you get hit by them, you are stuck in a mix-up. You are guessing. Your best friend is a power crush, and you just have to guess if they're going to go high or low. So for that in mind, to see how much damage some of them do, I don't really like that. One thing I loved about Tekken is that in Tekken you always had options. You never didn't have an option. You know, like Mortal Kombat can become frustrating because there's certain situations where you don't have any options and you kind of just have to take something. Tekken's never been like that. Tekken, you've always had an option. As good as a character's mix-up has been, even a character like Lei, where their mix-up is really, really strong, you've always had options and there's always way out. But with the heat engages, you kind of have to stand there and take it. And in theory, you do actually have an option. You've got Power Crush, but they're kind of crappy options. And the person that is being aggressive being the key word, because that's their favorite word this game around, it just doesn't seem very fair to me. So that would be my main criticism. But I haven't played the game. I've just been watching everyone play it. So I could be completely off. But that's the feeling that I get right now. It just seems a bit too oppressive, and defensive players might have been left out to dry. But that's heat engages, and that's the special moves where they smash you and you have to block it, or you get punched and you roll on your back. One thing I was really happy about, I watched Spag's video. Spag, for those of you that don't know, is one of the best UK Tekken commentators, and he said that wake-up lows no longer launch you. So you know when you're playing Tekken 7 sometimes, and you'll run over to somebody to pressure them on the floor, and they'll do a low, and you'll flip. And some characters will do 50%, and they'll carry you to the wall, and then the next mix-up is going to kill you. That is really annoying. I'm happy that that is gone. I will not miss it. I think wake-up lows, at the very most, could just knock down and potentially give Oki, but from what I've seen, the combo extensions from them are completely gone. You kind of just, I think you lose frame advantage or something like that. But either way, you ain't getting carried to the wall for 60-50%. That stuff was way too annoying. I also saw Spag saying that you can no longer charge at someone and get plus frames. So when you run at someone now, you kind of just stop in front of them. I don't know if that's a change that's going to stick. Running at somebody seems like it's been a staple in Tekken for so long, but again, this is the most radical change that Tekken has ever gone through. I've never seen Tekken go through a change like this before. The shifting point of Tekken was Tekken 3, and you can argue a big change was Tekken 4, and obviously there's been little things here and there, but nothing this dramatic. So them removing that, I'm not too mad at it. Having said that, now when you just hold forward, you run, so you don't have to double tap forward. So again, I think that's just to help players get in a bit more. Just to make movement a bit more easier. I'm not mad at it. Again, it's brand new. Tekken has been the same for a very long time, so I don't mind seeing all of this new stuff. It doesn't bother me that much, at least not yet. The chip damage is now a massive thing in Tekken. Chip damage just seems to be across the board now. I don't know how I feel about it, but you can't die from chip damage, so I guess that's good. I think that would be horrible if you could die from chip damage. You've got white health like you did in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, which I actually do like. The fact that you can recover health is pretty good in a game where combo damage is extremely high. Tekken combo damage is very, very high. So if I get the opportunity to recover health, I'm not mad at that. I think that's actually a pretty decent mechanic, pretty decent inclusion. We'll see how it pans out. It might turn out to be annoying. This is obviously very, very early. Just watching this, there's one thing I did want to touch on. And the thing that I wanted to touch on is that when people get knocked down in this game or get thrown around, they actually get battle damage or dirt on their clothes. I actually think that's pretty cool. So that's just one little thing I wanted to talk on before I forgot, because I didn't actually write it down. The rage arts, the animations look much better, leaps and bounds better than Tekken 7. Tekken 7 had, let's be honest, the rage arts were kind of crappy looking. There were very few in there that were good. I think Miguel had one of the best ones, and you know there was a couple here and there, but mostly they looked very tacky, very just like last minute inclusion. It doesn't look like that anymore in Tekken 8. They look like big anime cinematics, which I think are very welcome. They're very animated. They all have a lot of character. You can even hear when Jack is doing his one, he is getting knocked back and shouting. Paul is shouting. When he does it to Kazuya, Kazuya shouts Nani. So I'm guessing that everybody says their own thing, which is pretty cool. I think they have a lot of personality. But the downside of what rage arts have become is that although they're cool looking and they give a decent amount of damage, and I'm not mad at them being in the game, they're only minus 13 now. Minus 13 means they're not launch punishable anymore. So the punish that you get on a rage art, although you can get, I suppose you can get a decent punish, you can probably use a heat engage or something on them, or whatever they call a heat burst, I don't know. It just seems a bit silly that you can't get a full combo from it, at least from what I can see, and I just think something that grants you so much should have some risk to it. But I suppose the logic there is that they want people to not be scared to use them. I guess they put a lot of time and resources into them, so they don't want people to shy away from using them in tournament. Sorry, which I don't think is something that they were doing anyway, but I don't know. Maybe that will change. Again, this is very early days, so it might change closer to the time. Then we've got oh well, I've got a little bit of a concern here, so I jotted down a concern. I do have a minor concern with the heat system. The heat engages, although you can you get your stocks once per round, because they do so much damage and they're so oppressive. I'm kind of worried that they're going to overwhelm the game, and although you get them once per round, depending on how you access them, that they might become the whole round, because the more you hit people in heat, the longer your heat lasts. So where you get special moves and 2 stocks in heat, you get other moves that are buffed. For example, Kazuya's electrics get buffed in heat. In theory, you can become so oppressive that you never leave heat mode, and there's no need to actually use the big bursting attack that would drain your whole meter. And I was a little bit worried when I saw that, because getting juggled stops your heat. Attacking stops your heat from what I understand. Whilst you're blocking, you don't lose any heat. So I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like we're in heat for a bit too long here. So heat is a little bit concerning for me, but I've been playing Tekken since Tekken 1, so I guess I'm one of those old sweat lords that is worried about seeing a lot of change in Tekken, which I'm not. As I expressed earlier, I don't mind Tekken changing. It has been the same way for a long time, but not all changes are good changes. And whilst I'm not throwing this under the bus right now because I haven't played it and it's still early days and it looks fantastic for what it is, I am a bit worried that Tekken is going to be played in heat. I mean, look at this combo. That is absurd. Like that damage, they need to sort that damage out. I don't want games playing out like that. And I know Tekken is notorious for having high damage, but I would really rather heat engages were not the be-all and end-all of this game. I'd just like there to be a nice, cheeky inclusion in there and keep Tekken at its core, but I guess we'll see. The next thing is I saw that Magic 4s are gone, which I think is a good inclusion. One of the things I don't like about Tekken 7 is the amount of counter hit into full combos there are. I don't like that. I prefer a more footsie heavy game. I don't know if this is going to be a more footsie heavy game, but it's looking that way to me outside of the heat engages. Combos don't seem to be as heavy on the carry, and they don't seem to be as damaging in a lot of situations. I think maybe I'm reading that wrong. So I would prefer a more footsie heavy game. Having said that, look at the amount of damage they're getting from all of these things, and John is still in heat. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of heat right now. I don't like the damage on it. It seems a bit silly. But I am happy that a lot of counter hit stuff is gone. I'm happy that a lot of like silly lows, like Jin's Hell Sweep, has now basically been turned into a normal Hell Sweep where he doesn't get a full wall carry. I like those things. So Magic 4s being gone, I don't mind that very much. I think that's a fine inclusion. They were getting rid of some of them anyway before. If you remember, Fakuram's Magic 4, unless he commits to it, is pretty much gone. So I don't mind that. That's fine by me. The new wall explosions are really cool looking. Just the new animations in general, I have to praise the Tekken developers. You can tell that a lot of time has been put into this, and it does look really beautiful. So I like the fact that they're they're putting more of an emphasis on the presentation and the character expression in these games. I think that's a massive selling point. And I think that's something that Mortal Kombat does. And although Mortal Kombat has a lot of problems with its gameplay, it has a lot of expression in terms of like how characters are presented and the way they interact with each other. Having said that, they have character-specific intros now. Like we've all seen the Lars and Jin fist bump, which I think is great. So I'd definitely like to see more of that between characters that have relationships. And just speaking on that before I forget, the heat, and I don't know what the heat that heat thing, the Tekken 6 bound is, but I like the fact that it's not invincible. So you'll see in some of these gameplay matches that they'll just throw it out there, but they'll get hit out of it by somebody that was doing a move before them. So you can't just throw it out like a rage art and expect to get away with murder. I think that is a really cool inclusion. It's a welcome. I don't like things that are always invincible. It kind of annoys me. It lets people get away with things. So I think that's pretty cool. Just touching on that, and then you saw the wall explosion there. So I think those animations are really nice. I have to praise Bandai Namco and the Tekken team in terms of like keeping the hype going, because it feels like we're still a ways away from this game coming out, and this game has just sucked up all the hype in the fighting game community. And that's no shade on Street Fighter. I just feel like Tekken is going full steam ahead and everybody's attention is on that. Not to say I won't be getting Street Fighter 6, I definitely will. It's just that like everybody's eyes are on Tekken right now, and rightfully so. They're keeping the hype train going. We're getting character trailers constantly, we're getting gameplay constantly, we're getting Tekken talks. There's tidbits of information dropping everywhere, so props to the Tekken team. They're doing a very good job of that. This is the best that I've seen in terms of marketing for a fighting game in a very long time. I personally think that the final roster is going to be gigantic, because we're getting so many character trailers and so many things coming out, and we're still quite a while away from the game coming out. It's got me thinking this game is going to have a gigantic roster. Now, I did go back and look at Tekken, and every Tekken game, it seems to launch progressively with more characters. I believe Tekken 7 launched with 32 or 34, so if we can get that size, or maybe like 36, I think that would be pretty good. Maybe I'm getting those numbers wrong, but I'm pretty sure each Tekken game they have bigger and bigger rosters. Obviously Tekken Tag 2 being the biggest one, but that's a dream match situation. It's not part of the canon. I'm not counting that. Just the singular games, that's what I'm hoping for. I think in a game like Tekken, where you've got so many different characters with different fighting styles and different ways that they can play the game, I think having bigger rosters is great, because it always gives people something to do. And then obviously there's going to be DLC. We all know there's going to be DLC. No idea who's going to be in the base and who's going to be downloadable, but I'm guessing this Tekken game is going to have a roster as big, if not bigger, than Tekken 7, which was already a very big roster. Wall bounces are gone, so that Xiaoyu damage is absurd. That needs to change. I mean, the match is already basically over. So although you get heat engages once per round, if you do that every round, the match is basically over. So I hope that gets adjusted. So yeah, wall bounces are gone. Which I think is, I'm indifferent about that change. I didn't mind wall bounces in Tekken 7. I mean, Geese had them to start with, and then everybody else got them. So if they're just a Tekken 7 thing, I'm cool with leaving that in the past. By that same token, if they decide to bring them back in the future, I'm also okay with that. I don't mind it. I'm indifferent about wall bounces. I don't mind change, and I don't mind a few things not coming back. Spring kicks don't knock down anymore from what I can see. They just push people back. I think, again, this is to promote aggression and fighting on your feet. I think Harada wants people standing up as much as possible rather than being on their backs or dashing away. So, again, that's a change that I wouldn't have thought of, but not one that I have a problem with. It's a welcome change as far as I'm concerned. Low parries no longer give you a bound sort of state into a long combo unless you use the new Tekken 6 bound heat thing. So that's fine. It makes lows a lot less risky. And it means that if you just throw out a silly low, you're not going to get juggled for 50% to the wall and then have to deal with a wall pressure situation, which again is very annoying, and it's annoying when matches flow that way. I think Harada again and the Tekken team want to keep the match, and the match is in the middle of the screen, which I'm all for. I'm all for the change. We've been playing Tekken 7 for damn near 7 years, so I don't mind it changing up in that way. So I spoke about chip damage a little bit. Jun has got a mechanic where she recovers health when she's fighting, and she's got a mechanic where she loses health. But in general, people can recover health through attacking when they have got white health on the screen. I'm not entirely sure how white health works yet. I mean, I've seen it just come up there when he's used the heat thing, so I'm guessing it's tied to heat somehow. But I'm not sure. But again, I'm not mad at recoverable health in a game that has massive damage combos. I think that could add an interesting element to Tekken 8 for sure. And then we've got the movement is similar to Tekken 7, which I'm not mad at. I like the movement in Tekken 7. It took a while for me to get on board with it, coming from somebody that was playing the older Tekken games, and I was a big fan of the movement in Tekken 5 and Tekken Tag Tournament 2. But I don't mind it now. I don't think that they're going to make backdashing stronger just because this game is meant to be more aggressive and more in your face. So I think that it's fine. You know, Tekken 7 movement was good. I really love these Tekken 3-esque character intros per round and how that they amp up for the final round. I think that's really cool. Again, they're pushing this personality thing, which I think is great for a fighting game. I think that Tekken has everything, but maybe it was lacking in that department where a game like Mortal Kombat really picked up, and it's great to see. It just makes the game a lot more alive and a lot more vibrant, and I'm here for it. I'm really happy with it. Then we've got the throw system. According to Spag, is similar to Tekken 7. The throw system being similar to Tekken 7 again is good. Throws were notoriously difficult. It's what separated the boys from the men in everything before Tekken 7. They're still very difficult in Tekken 7, and this was the cool intro that I was talking about. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's giving me Ryu and Ken vibes. I'm really into that. I think that will make people want to play the game. But yeah, as I was saying, the throw system being the same as Tekken 7 is fine. Throws are still difficult. Although they're difficult, they are much easier than what they used to be. Throws in Tekken Tag 2 and everything before that were so absurdly hard because you had to look at each arm for everything. But now generic throws can be broken with 1 or 2, so I don't mind that. I think that's pretty good, and they give you enough time to break them. Although you still catch people at them even at a pro level. I mentioned this earlier, but because we now have the tail spin and it goes up, which I think it's called tail lift now. I'm not too sure. I might be getting the name wrong. The combos don't carry you to the wall as much unless you're using the heat burst, which I think is good because, again, matches taking place at the wall constantly is really irritating. And almost everybody in Tekken 7 can do that. Everyone in Tekken 7 can carry you to the wall with relative ease. Obviously, somebody like Lars or Nina have a much easier time, but most characters are not going to struggle to get you to the wall in Tekken 7. So I'm happy that walls are not the be-all and end-all again, and that it's much easier to keep the character closer to you now. I think that's a welcome change. And the last thing that I wanted to really touch on before I close out the video is that I do think the heat system lasts a bit too long. They say it's 10 seconds, but in theory you can keep it running in the entire match if you're good enough. And the thing is that there are some sweat lords on Tekken, myself included, where I will find ways to keep that system running. And although I think it's cool to have a like Super Saiyan version of your character, to have it running the entire match or the potential of that happening, I'm not sure that I'm into that. Now, as I said, the damage there looks good, and Jin has the chance to recover health, and as you can see, even when they're blocking, he's able to recover health. But then on the flip side, stuff like that happens where it's like, oh my god, that's like Marduk damage. And yes, I play Marduk, so I'm hoping that it's only one of my characters that can do those sort of things. But I am a little bit worried about the heat moves in this game. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm hoping that things get scaled down a little bit. That's just my guess right now, just because of the way it's all looking. I could be wrong. I could be asking for things that are just gonna hurt the game before it comes out. But you see, something like that I think is good. It didn't do a lot of damage. It just gave him frame advantage, and then it put him in a state to get a lot of damage. But as you can see there, Lars wasn't losing his heat. He still had it, and he was doing that weird Naruto move, which looked crazy, and it gave him frame advantage. And I don't want the game to just be about heat. That's my main concern right now. Everything else, presentation, music, character inclusion, just everything about this game looks really cool. But obviously, being somebody that has been playing Tekken since Tekken 1, I am mildly concerned about the heat system. And if you look here, King's heat mode, he's not using any tokens right now. He's literally just using the fact that he's in Super Saiyan to gain more damage and access to moves that grant him a bit more damage, and he destroyed her in a second. Now I know that these are not pros playing. The game is going to look different when people that know what they're doing are playing the game. But again, there, look at Xiao Yu's damage. It's just a bit. It's a bit much. I'm not into that damage. I'm hoping that they scale it back. Take a look at this. This is yeah. I mean, come on, that damage is just absurd. The round is almost basically over. He's got frame advantage there and KO. Like that's too much in my opinion. The reason I'm not worried right now is just because I saw this in Tekken 7. I don't know if you guys remember, but when Tekken 7 came out, it did have like very ridiculous damage, especially on Akuma. Obviously he still has that, but they have scaled it back a bit, and he's very execution heavy, so you don't really get everybody doing that. It's like people like Super Akuma that are able to access that damage, but this does not look hard to me. And yeah, and that's it. Like, he beat her. Like, it's game over. That's too much in my opinion. That's way too much. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on was about Kazuya, and it's about the other characters, but mainly I was going to use Kazuya as a talking point. Is that I heard Michael Murray saying that when Kazuya enters heat mode, he gets access to perfect electric wing God Fist. I don't think they're perfect ones. I still think you have to learn that timing. But so if I'm to do a wing God Fist, because I'm not good at playing Mishimas, I can do wing God Fist consistently. I can't do electric wing God Fist consistently. When Kazuya goes into heat mode, Wing God Fist doesn't use any tokens. He's just buffed, and because the timer doesn't go down when you're attacking somebody or when they're attacking you, I can just keep on doing Electric Wing God Fist to pressure you and eventually land that hit because he's +5. And there's no execution needed because when you're in heat, Wing God Fist just becomes Electric Wing God Fist. I don't like that change. The reason I don't like it is because, you know, being a Mishima player in Tekken is kind of a big deal if you're able to play them properly. It's not easy to consistently do Electric Wing God Fist in a match and also keep all your faculties about you when you're trying when you're not focusing on doing the same like perfect input each time. And there you saw it's not invincible, so I think that's pretty good, the heat engager thing. But yeah, I just don't like that. I do like the fact that each character has their own sort of personality when they go into their heat modes. I think that's really cool. I am a bit worried about like the ease of use as like somebody that can use Mishimas without their God Fists. And now you're basically telling me, oh, there you go, there's your God Fist for free. It's just a bit like, okay, I mean, I benefit from it because I'm one of those crappy execution players and now I can play a Mishima, I guess, but I don't know what it means for Tekken as a whole. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I'm open to it because this is, again, the most radical change that Tekken has ever gone through. The sparks on the God Fist just look absolutely incredible. I can't stress enough how good they are. But yeah, like I haven't got too much more to add. I'm just going to watch this match to the end and then close out the video. And then you guys can let me know what you think. But I would say overall, I'm pretty happy with what we've seen. I'm pretty excited. I mean, I play Tekken every day, even though I don't upload it to my channel. I literally play it every day. I'm working my way up the rankings. I've gotten myself to an Emperor rank with Marduk and Feng, so they're both Emperor ranks now. I've moved over to play on the PC. So I think this win animation is so sick. And look how dirty it is. The graphics are insane, and I imagine it's probably only going to get better as time goes on. But yeah, I'm investing a lot of time into Tekken. I will obviously take a break from it soon because Street Fighter 6 is coming out and everybody's going to be playing that. But when this comes out, I'm definitely going to be on this. Also, I just wanted to say they changed the color of his laser and the animation is way better now. It hasn't got that old Tekken 1 because, you know, the laser animation on that has been the same since Tekken 1. So you guys let me know what you think. I'm pretty impressed and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care. Have a nice day.